Masterson, one of the co-founders and mentors in the Mentoring Men community, and I show men how to transform pain and suffering into power and thriving. And in this video, I want to talk to you about why you might be struggling to get enough money and sex and love and friends and appreciation and fame and really anything that you feel like you don't have enough of. There's a common theme behind it. And most of the conversations out there on the internet just tell you how to try to be a better manipulator to have more of these things. Or they offer you some sort of woo-woo mysticism to try to explain how if you do certain incantations and stuff every day that you can have more of these things. Well, I've got good news for you. It's actually a lot more simple than any of that stuff. The answer is hiding right under your nose, and I want to share with you today in this video how to do this. Now, to start, I want to talk about some things that you might want. It's normal as a human being to want more of something. More sex, money, friends, love, fame. I put those because those are probably the highest level ones that people complain about. And in my work with men, especially men in pain, the thing that leads men to reach out to us in the Mentoring Men community is that they're struggling with wanting more of something. Now, interestingly, I work with pretty highly emotionally intelligent and successful men, and they usually are not looking for these, but the next layer down. So these men are not necessarily struggling to find sex, for example, but if I ask them, well, what is it that you really want? They might say the next level thing, connection. They might not necessarily be struggling with money, but they might be struggling with a sense of mission and purpose. And so you're going to have your own things that you're struggling to feel like you can't seem to get enough of. And that's the spirit of what I want to talk to you about in this video. Here's the thing. When you're saying, I want more sex, more money, more friends, love, fame, you're not actually being articulate enough about what you want. You see, these are all not really wants or needs. They're strategies to try to achieve a deeper need. And so we want to start by looking at what does that even mean, right? You say, I want more sex. Well, why? What do you get if you have more sex? What do you get for having more money? What do you get when you have more friends, more love, more fame? You see, if I keep asking myself this question, what do I get? I'm going to write it right here. What do I get if I have more of that thing? You're going to come up with an answer, right? And you need to know what those are, because here's the pattern. The reason you're struggling with these things is when you think about how do I get more of that, you think that the answer is that it comes to you from outside of you. Hey, I can have more sex when she gives it to me. I can have more money when, I don't know what you draw here, right? When money comes to me. I can have more friends when it comes to me. And this is why you're struggling, because in this scenario, you lack one very important thing, choice. And so when you have wants and you have no choice in your mindset about how those things come to you, you will suffer. That's what causes emotional pain. Emotional pain, quite simply, comes from wanting something or desiring something that we feel that we have no power whatsoever to have. And so this puts you in a state of getting. And so this guy right here, he is a consumer. His mission is getting, right? Because he feels like he has a deficit. He needs more sex He needs to get more sex. He uses this in his language. I need to get or find more money. I need to get or acquire more friends. Do you hear that? It's all consumer language. I need to go out there and find the stuff to bring to me. That is the path for being blocked in having these things. You're going to be blocked in sex and romance. You're going to be blocked with money, friends, love, fame, and anything that you're trying to get. Why? Because you're not made to be a getter, a consumer. You and I are meant to be creators. It is our nature to create. And the only thing that makes us stop creating is the belief that we need something outside of us. It's like we shift gears and our energy starts to get like this, trying to I gotta get things and put them inside of me. Well, creators think about that differently. A creator starts with fullness and they start using that to create. And so a man who has a creator mindset and position is not saying he needs to get more sex. He's living in a story where he creates more intimacy, and one avenue for his intimacy is sharing sexual connection and intimacy. He doesn't think about getting money. He thinks about creating things like abundance and wealth and opportunity. For him, money is not a tool to fill an internal sense of need and void. It's a tool to express creativity. Do you see the difference? Consumer, creator. He doesn't go out and try to need friends. He says, I've got a lot of love and good things to give in the world. And friendships are a great place to create, a great place to sow and multiply the things I value and care in the world. He doesn't need fame. In fact, he knows that that's not going to give him anything. But he might become famous because he's so daggone generous and wise and creative. Don't you love being around creative people? Yes, of course. Same thing with love, right? So you have to have this shift in moving from getting to creating. Now, how do you do that? This is the fun part. I'm going to erase some of this stuff. I'm going to remove my magnet people. And I'm going to show you kind of the trick. We're going to do something called peeling the onion. And that's where you start with saying, what is it you want more of? I'm going to use more sex, because that's a popular one, okay? I start by saying, I want more sex. And then I ask myself, what would I get if I had more sex? And then I'm going to ask myself another question, do I have a choice here? And what I mean is, do I have a choice in my understanding of how I fulfill my desire? All right, well, sex is two parties, right? And so if I feel like, well, I can't have more sex because I don't have a willing partner, then the answer to do I have a choice is no. And you're going to suffer anytime you don't feel like you have choice. Powerlessness is directly proportional to choicelessness. And so in order to shift from consuming to creating, I have to switch from no choice, no power, to choice and power. Do you see this principle? Right? So you've got consume equals no choice or unwilling. And create equals choice, equals power. In order to be a creator, you must have power, and you only have power when you have the ability to choose. And the problem is, we learn ways of thinking about the world, and we embrace them as true that tell us You don't have power. You don't have choice. That's otherwise known as victimhood. I'm not going to get super deep into victimhood here because I don't think that's going to help. What I want you instead to do is ask yourself, do I have choice? And what do I get if? Okay, so we're going to ask this first. I want more sex. Do I have a choice? No. What do I get if I had more sex? Okay, let's go down here and talk about that. We're going to peel this onion. So we're going to go down here and say, if I had more sex, I'd have more what? Now, everybody on YouTube watching this, you're going to have a different answer. Everybody has something. Some people might say relief, less stress. The most popular one is connection, and I'm going to pick on that one. Okay, I want more connection. Do I have a choice? Now, this is where what you believe matters. Because if you believe connection happens outside of you, you have no choice. Somebody has to give you connection, right? That's this guy who says connection comes from the female. He has no choice unless she gives him connection. By the way, that's what screws up relationships. Because if she has connection, where does she get it? She can't get it from you because you need it, right? And so I would suggest this is a horrible worldview, and you're going to suffer from that. So ideally, what we would do is we would say, okay, if we were working together, I'm going to help you figure out how you have choice in having connection, because you live in a disempowered, choiceless, self-limiting belief system that connection comes to you instead of from within you. But let's keep going. What do I get if I have connection? I'd feel, let's just say, accepted. That's a common one. All right. Do I have a choice in feeling accepted? Here too, a person who's suffering says no, because they live in stories where they have no choice because the thing comes from outside of them. Now, remember, we started by talking about sex, and now we've said, actually, it's about connection. Oh, actually, that's about acceptance. And we're living in these layers and layers and layers of no choice. Let's go down another one. What do I get if I feel accepted? I feel valued. This is a common one also. All right. Do I have a choice to feel valued? Now, everybody's going to be different here. Here's what I'm going to tell you. A lot of people will say no because, again, they live in a story where value comes to them. It's given to them by accolades, praise, notice, attention. And if you live in that story, you're suffering because you live in this story where you don't have a choice here, you don't have a choice here, you don't have a choice here, and you don't have a choice here. And so you have to go out and try to get all this stuff. So here's what we do in mentoring men. We help men understand new stories about the deepest parts of this. I'm going to stop at value because it doesn't really go much deeper. And we're going to help men understand, what story do you have about where your value and worth comes from? And let's hear about it. And what men will tell us in their stories is that they either don't have choice or it's exhausting, because every time they feel like they make decisions that give them value, something happens. Takes away their choice, takes away their power. And so all sexless men generally live in a state of powerlessness around all these things. When you don't have power and choice, guess what you do? You send it to somebody else, and it's usually that lady. And you start saying, I need you to give me value. I need you to give me acceptance. I need you to give me connection, and I need you to give me sex. And that's why they don't have it, because they're not creators, they're consumers. And in a relationship with a woman, that makes her responsibility to create. And that is the world's worst aphrodisiac. So men that have a shift where men say, do I have a choice? Yes. My value is not created by others, it's created within me. They fix that. They've got choice. They realize then that acceptance is an inside game. It's not given to me, it's formed within me. I have to accept me, and I can do that by an act of my deliberate will. Choice. Boom. Therefore, connection isn't given to me. Connection with other people is a reflection of my connection with myself. And when I stop rejecting my value and worth, and I start living in a deep sense of value, worth, and significance, and I'm connected with me, do I have a choice for connection? Yes. Now, this dude who lives like that, super sexy in a relationship. You know why? Because he doesn't have a bunch of neediness. He's not groveling. He's not like strung out waiting for a woman's attention. He knows his value at work. He lives with it. He has confidence. And he accepts that he's a sexually intimate man, and he knows how to create that in the world. And if one particular partner isn't interested in that, no problem. There's 8 billion people on planet Earth, and he is confident that someone will love to participate in the receiving of the gift of his intimacy. That man changed from a consumer with no choices to a creator. Now, that same pattern is the same exact thing for money, friends, love, fame. Anything in the world that you want has this pattern. You have to distill it down from the strategy to meet your desire to getting down to what are you really after? See, sex guy, he's really after value. And if we did money and friends and love, they almost all end up here. Everybody's really after feeling unconditionally accepted and loved. That's what we're all doing everything for all the time. And so when we can actually achieve that, when we know ourselves to be secure in our value and worth, not because people give that to us, but because it's an internal state, then it flips all of this on its head. You move out of being a consumer into being a creator, and you start creating all these layers, and you realize one of two things. I've been misusing this thing called sex or money, and instead of trying to get it, you start giving the things that you used to try to get. Sex, money, fame, friendship. Your energy is now flowing outward. Now, I know that can sound weird and woo-woo when people talk about energy, but it's pretty simple like this. Have you ever just been sitting there and you had an idea? Where did that idea start? Start somewhere within you. And then if you formulate that idea and you pick up tools or a paintbrush or a pen and you create that idea, you just brought it outside of you. And let's say then you publish that out on the internet or the world, you just pushed it out in the world. Which way is the energy of creativity flowing? Is it flowing like this? No, it's flowing like this. It's taking something from inside of you and putting it out there. And tell me yourself, is that not when you feel your best as a human? That is power and thriving, what I told you I show men how to do. And when you can't do this and you live in this other story of I can't get enough because you're trying to take what's out there and bring it in here, you're living in the complete opposite of how humans thrive. You're living in a story where you don't have enough, where you're a victim, where you need other people and other people's power and other people's creativity to make up for what you need to consume. And it's all just a state of thinking. It's based on beliefs about where things come from. Do I have a choice? And so this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want more sex, money, friends, love, and fame, you have to stop thinking like a consumer. You have to start being a creator. And you have to unblock the reasons why you're not. Why are you not a creator? Because you don't know that you have that choice, and you have judgments against yourself that have fooled you into believing that these things are beyond your capacity. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg. In reality, and I just want to be straight up honest about this, it takes probably between 6 to 12 months to help men to have this kind of shift. But myself and my fellow mentors at Mentoring Men were very good at helping men understand this in way more clean ways than a whiteboard. We've got an awesome 6-month experience called the Renewed Masculine Man, where we take men through this in great detail over the course of 6 months. That process has something like 24 small group meetings. It's very, very robust, very deep, and it's very high touch, high personal care, and very helpful. And so if this kind of idea has spurred some curiosity within you and some inspiration that you can stop being a consumer and start being a creator, and you can live in a different story than I don't have enough of these things, I would love to talk to you more. You're going to find links down below in the description of this video. You can follow them. You could request a session, a free session with myself or one of the other mentors. You can join some of our free courses that we offer, explore this more deeply, and we would love to get to know you and show you more about how to do this. Again, I'm Sven Masterson, and I hope to see you in another video. Take care.